The complex thought life of a leader is marked by a never-ending carousel of observations, questions, and adjustments. Leaders are continually testing theories against reality and realigning teams around emerging solutions. In the midst of this work, how do we find a rhythm of rest? How do we find a groove that keeps us healthy and creative? Our next speaker is Albert Tate, who has uncovered 3 essential principles for doing just that, finding your groove. When we intentionally shape our reality, we enable our eyes to see new possibilities. Albert Tate is the leader and founder of Fellowship Church, one of the fastest growing multi-ethnic churches in the United States. He's a board member of the Global Leadership Network and a contributor to the book Letters to a Birmingham Jail, a response to the words and dreams of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. That's why the Global Leadership Summit is excited to welcome Albert Tate.
Yo! GLS 2021. Yo, I'm so excited. I want to take you to the place where I experienced my first leadership lesson. Come with me to a small town called Pearl, Mississippi. It is there at Sweet Home Church of Christ Holiness, USA. I don't know what the USA is for, not to be confused with the Canada branch, which we didn't have, but I don't know. But here in this small rural church is where I grew up. My mama played the piano, and we did something called testimony service. So if you've never been to church, I'll tell you. Testimony service is when you just kind of sit in the room, and I had Cousin Annabelle, Aunt Chris, my grandmother, Alma Jones, Uncle Robert Jones, who would get so excited he'd just jump up off the floor. And they would just take turns passing the mic, talking about the goodness of God and how faithful he had been. With the celebration in the room, you would think that they had these huge accomplishments, that these major breakthroughs, these major overwhelming things happen with the reaction and with the celebration. You would think, wow, these people are experiencing these great breakthroughs. But no, these testimonies were pretty simple. As a matter of fact, you can almost boil it down to they would just regularly celebrate. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I once was. God has been good to me. God has been good to me. Not only that, but it was kind of like a win and a celebration for them just to say weekly. And we'd celebrate, we'd shout, we'd sing, but the true essence of their celebration was this one fact, and this was the leadership lesson. It was an attitude of gratitude. They would stand in the midst of trial, tribulation, and hard times, and they would stand and just say, I'm still here. And I've just come to tell y'all, after a year like this, I'm still here is still a testimony. I'm still here is still a testimony. Well, that was okay, but I think we can level it up a little bit. Let me tell you why. Because some of you are sitting next to people. You're sitting in front of people. You're sitting behind people. You're watching with other people that this year almost took them out. I know they sitting there and they looking all cute and got all their stuff together and they didn't put on the tennis shoes because the heels was a bad idea. But you're sitting around people that had the hardest year of their life. Some of the folks you're sitting around, their marriage, as they sit in this space, and as you watch, it's harder now than it's ever been. You're sitting around leaders, and they look like they got it together, and they've been walking, getting the punch bowl and the snack shop at the whole site, but they don't know if they're going to be in business 6 months from now. You're sitting around people that may be carrying burdens that your naked eye cannot see. And I'm telling you, out of all we've been through, I think about the global leadership staff, and they lead this great organization, and I see them invest and work hard to make this thing happen. And they've gone through hard times and challenges. I think about the volunteers that just showed up to serve you. We didn't even pay them nothing because we couldn't afford to pay them. They just volunteering in their sacrifice and going through their own challenges, but here serving you. The person opened up the door for you. You have no idea the burden that they could be carrying. And I just want to take 30 seconds and have a sweet home church moment, and you celebrate the people sitting around you and tell them you're still here. And being here is a testimony. You almost didn't make it, but girl, you here. You almost gave up, but my man, you still here. The business got rough, but you're still hanging on. Make some noise for the people that are still here. We still here. Your attitude of gratitude will shape your perspective. You can't do nothing with a bad attitude well. I know some of y'all, no, I know some people that can, but they ain't doing it well. You don't even like them. I want to push us as we close and as we prepare to go home. Y'all, I feel like the last 2 years I've been tested more than ever before. Just test after test, and then test in this area, then test in that area. And I feel like on all different fronts, you got different tests, and you're being tried on different areas. I feel like it's the hardest time ever to be a leader. I was talking to a 6-time Grammy Award-winning friend of mine, Aaron Lindsay. The fact that he's won 6 Grammys has nothing to do with the talk. It's just, if you won 6 Grammys, you should say that whenever you introduce somebody's name. I mean, that's a big deal. And I kind of want the Instagram credit for him being my friend. We're sitting down and we're talking, and honestly, I'm gonna be honest, we're doing an exhale because we're like, we feel like we're making it out of that season. Things are kind of starting to get, it's not normal, that ain't the right word, but it's getting outside of that uber weird that it was. And families, and we're just kind of exhaling, and he said something so profound, it stopped me in my tracks. As we're celebrating the fact that we're overcoming the test, he said, Albert, what if that was the lesson and this is the test? What if that was the lesson and now this is the test? I celebrate all the things that I was being tested on, and maybe those were just lessons. And now it's time for me to take the test. Y'all know how we was celebrating and testifying. I've never spent more time with God. It's been such a blessing. Or I'm spending more time with family. Well, maybe that was the lesson to do that. And now that we're starting to go again, maybe it's the test to see if we'll keep it. Maybe now's the test. Y'all, I'm gonna be honest. I was so proud. I hit 1 million miles with Delta Airlines. 1 million miles. Oh yeah, it was a big deal to me. I was excited about it. I was proud of the 1 million miles. I'm gonna tell you, there's a lot of benefits with having status like that. First of all, the most important thing, and I'm just gonna be honest, is first class. Because I get upgraded to first class. I don't have to pay for it, they just put me up there. And let me just tell you something. And I know there are people all across the world, and even here, that's just like, yo, I've never even been on a plane. It's a privilege just to be on the plane. It should be a blessing. God is good in first class. God is good in coach. God is good wherever you sit on the plane. No, God's better in first class. I don't know if you've been up there. I'm going to tell you. God is better up here. I'm telling you. With all the coach people back there waiting to get on the plane, do y'all know we get on first? Do y'all know what they're doing? They're literally massaging our feet while y'all are waiting back there. I just got my toes out. She's like, okay, we got to open the plane. I said, just get the pinky toe one time, and then I'll be ready. And then y'all come in. The hardest thing about sitting in first class is trying to look humble while y'all pass by. I just be sitting there and just, praise the Lord, how you doing? Have a safe flight, Craig. Just go, see you later. Just have a good time back there, buddy. You, Sam, Steven, y'all hang out. I was so proud of my status, and man, the pandemic hit. Those miles tanked. Wasn't traveling, my calendar fell open. But I got to start spending more time at home. And it was a blessing. It blessed me more than anything I've ever done, any trip I've ever made. I was hanging out with my son. My son had started playing football, a little football, and he got a little pass and stuff. Never won football before in his life. And he, like all the other kids, are terrible. They're just, no skill at all. And it's like other parents are over there all excited. I'll be like, yo, none of them are going to the NFL. They're not, they're just not going. They're not even, with the way they play, they ain't even going to McDonald's. Like, there's just like, but he's out there, he's terrible, and he's trying to run, and like his running is so bad. We've had 4 people ask, does he have asthma? Like, seriously, and we'd be like, well, we're getting him tested, but I want to say, nah, he's just his father's son. He's just like, just running, like, you know what I mean? But so every breaks, he'll come over to the sideline and get water, because these practices are 2 hours. First of all, what in the world are we doing for 2 hours? This is ridiculous, right? But I got my little thing, and the first time I had my notes, said I'm gonna write sermons, and then happy parents pulled up beside me, and now want to talk, and I'm a pastor, so then I'm evangelizing on the sidelines. So it's like, I'm not getting any work done, I'm being with the people. Praise Jesus. This is exactly what I wanted to do with these 2 hours, yeah. But he'll come over for water breaks, and he comes over, and I give him his water bottle, and I'm giving him, because I'm seeing him out there, asthma attack. And so I'm encouraged, boy, you got it. You're the best, boy. You got it. Just push through. I know it's hard to breathe. Push through. And he was like, well, Daddy, you're not having to do it. I was like, you doggone right. But push through, and I just give him encouragement. And his attitude is just so blasé. I don't even think he cares. So I'm talking to this guy that's sitting next to me, one of the parents, and he comes up to get his water. And we're in a deep conversation, so we just keep talking. So I didn't give him his pep talk. So we're just talking, and Isaac's got the bottle, and he's just standing there. And I was like, what? And he looks at me and was like, I was like, ain't this something? I was like, you got it, son, you got it. And he was like, thanks, Dad. And then he ran back out. Here's the thing. That was a meaningful moment that I never would have made if I was pursuing 1,000,000 miles. It's simple. He probably won't even remember it next week. But as his dad, I'll never forget it. It's the little moments that I experience in this season that are invaluable. Last night we were at the hotel, and like most relationships, mom gets all the love. She just gets all the love. And Mother's Day is like sell out. Everything is crazy. Father's Day, we're sleeping in. Nothing. You know what I mean? So but that's just the way it is. You know what I'm saying? I'm not bitter. At least after talking with Henry Cloud, we worked through a lot of the processing with that. Turns out I've got 4 buckets I'm working through. But mom just gets the love. So whenever the phone rings, let me talk to mom. They call mom. You know what? I don't even feel bad. They ask mom to pray at night. I'd be like, I'm the pastor. That's like, Mom, can you pray with us? Hey, okay, whatever. Last night after practice, Isaac called mom's phone, and she answered on speaker, and before he can even speak to mom good, he said, hey, where's Dad? And his mom had an attitude, which I loved. She was like, he's right here. Do you want to speak to your mama? He was like, no, let me speak to Dad. I was like, yes. And he said, Dad, practice went great today. We got our pads. And I'm going to put them on. I'm going to send you a picture so you can see it. He asked for Dad. It was a meaningful moment. What if the falling away of the miles was the lesson and the being present for the meaningful moments is the new test? What moments are you missing because you're still chasing miles? Or you're still doing stuff the old way? And you're missing divine appointments and great opportunities to be present in this season, to have meaningful moments that will yield significant fruit. When's the last time you just walked around the office, not with a spreadsheet, not with a checklist, with just a hello, how you doing? How's your kids? Jimmy, how's everything going? How's your mom? When's the last time you created space just to have a meaningful moment in your business, in your church, in your family? What if this is the test and that was the lesson? There's a story in the book of Exodus in the Bible. The tribe of Israel, this community called out by God, but they've been enslaved by the Hebrews. Just the worst of worst slave masters, Pharaoh. It's kind of like if you've never been to church, but if you've seen the movie Prince of Egypt, this is the part right after Mariah Carey sing that great song, right? Like that's so that's right where you are. But there's a passage I want to put up. It's in Exodus chapter 6. Read this with me. I'll read it back here. I thought I could read it up there. I'll turn around. Check out the back of the suit. I spent a lot of money on this thing. Then the Lord said to Moses, I will rain down bread from heaven for you. The people are to go out each day and gather enough for that day. In this way, I will test them and see whether they will follow my instructions. On the sixth day, they are to prepare what they bring in, and that is to be twice as much as they gather on the other days. This is Exodus 16, 4 and 5. Here's the deal. Moses has come in. He's freed them from the hand of Egypt. Y'all know he did like 10 plagues. This is some of the creepiest stuff you ever want to read in the Bible. You want to be entertained? Turn off Netflix. Don't watch a soap opera. Read Exodus. Crazy. They get to the Red Sea, open up the Red Sea. They walk across on dry land. Some of the greatest miracles, some of the greatest Bible stories that we hear about. This scene is after that. They're in the wilderness, and watch this. They're grumbling. They're irritated. They're frustrated. They're sitting out in the wilderness, and they're like, Moses brought us out here to die. And then they say, watch this, even in Egypt, at least in Egypt, we had food to eat. We had all the food we could eat. And we out here now in the wilderness, and we ain't even got food. Moses, if you was gonna bring us out here to kill us, we could have just died in Egypt. At least we'd be full. Ungrateful little something, like, ain't that? But listen, this is what I want you to notice. They were experiencing freedom, but it felt like bondage. And they were reminiscing of their bondage and reimagining it as though it was freedom. Max Dupree says one of our biggest jobs is to be able to define reality. And if you're not careful in this season, you'll be experiencing freedom, but it'll feel like bondage. And you'll look back on the old days, which was in fact bondage, and say, no, that felt like freedom. Be careful, define reality, know the season that you're in. I thought, as I was sitting in first class getting 1,000,000 miles, that was freedom. If I'm really honest and confess, it was bondage. It was a level of bondage. And I honestly thought, especially when I got the football schedule, sitting out here for 2 hours in the hot sun 3-4 days a week for these non-NFL candidates. To be honest, that is the epitome of bondage. It was actually freedom. It's actually freedom. One of your biggest jobs is to know the difference between the two. One of your biggest jobs is for you to have discernment and be able to define reality and to be able to see. And I want to encourage you, as you lead, what if you lead from here on? As you leave, would you lead as though this is the test? This is the test. I think this passage has 3 invitations for every leader to consider. I want to give you 3 invitations for you to consider. Number 1, an invitation for you to consider an opportunity to see what you've never seen. An opportunity to see what you have never seen. Moses takes it up with the Lord, hears their grumbling. Listen what God does. God says, all right, here's the deal. I'm going to feed them. I'm going to feed them from my hand. I'm going to give them manna in the morning and meat at night. Manna is like it's kind of like the equivalent of the bread. So imagine like croissants just out on the grass. That doesn't sound appetizing, but it's like as the dew falls, this bread substance would come, and they would have come and grab it and eat it. And as the night would go down, he'd provide meat at night. They never seen that before. They saw pots at Pharaoh's house. They saw all that stuff, but God says, I'm giving you bread from heaven and meat. I'm giving you manna in the morning, meat at night. I'm giving you something you've never seen before. In a season of change, in a season of crisis, in a season of things being very different, open up your eyes. It may be an opportunity for you to see something you've never seen before, experience something you've never experienced before, be something you've never been before, do something you've never done before. There may be an opportunity right there in your pain, uncertainty, and chaos. Shout out, Puck. And right there in the midst of it all could be an opportunity for you to see something in your business you ain't never seen before. See something in your marriage you ain't never seen before. See something in your kids, boy, that you ain't never seen before. There's an opportunity in this season. There's an invitation. He says, children of Israel, trust me. I'm about to show you something you ain't never seen before. Watch this though. There's a dynamic. He says, if I'm providing it, we got to do it my way. So he says, only get what you can eat today. Don't Costco this thing. Don't Costco this thing. For those of y'all that don't know, Costco is like a big warehouse kind of store, and they just sell ridiculously amounts of stuff. Like most time, if you buy mayonnaise. You go to Costco, mayonnaise. So you got a thing of mayonnaise to last 2 years. No one wants to eat 2-year-old mayonnaise, but there you go. You got it in your pantry because you got a good sale. Come on, can I get a witness in here? Anybody ever do it? You go to Costco and you just buy stuff, you ain't gonna never eat that much, but you just get it all because you just never know. We might be in a crisis and we might need to make extra mayonnaise. Like, no. But it's the greed, it's the, I want all. He says, don't do that with this bread. Get all you can eat. And if you get extra, it's gonna spoil at the end of the night. In this season, what if you've got to bring a different approach to this new opportunity? Maybe you can't grab all the business that you once could have. Maybe you can't be as greedy and stock up as you once could have. Maybe you don't count the numbers of attendees at the church like you once could have. Maybe the offerings got to be different. Maybe the retail, maybe the bottom line has got to be looked at. God's saying, I'm going to provide for you, but I'm just providing it in a different way. And you got to trust me one day at a time. What if in this season, in the business, in the ministry, in your work, you can't stack it up like you once could? The spreadsheet may look different. The income, it may look different, but I'm telling you, what if you bring a different approach to some new opportunities? You got to have a Whole Foods mentality. For those of y'all who don't know what Whole Foods is, they pride themselves on the food being fresh. and not going bad. Like, well, it'll go bad if you don't use it like in 6 hours after you buy it. Like it's so fresh because they ain't put nothing on it. It came from the garden, right in the box to you. You got 7 minutes. You better eat it quick or else it's gonna go bad. But it's fresh. You ain't gonna find nothing fresher. And parenthetically, it'll cost $755 million. But I think what God is saying is, come fresh. I'm gonna provide for you fresh. Let's just tell the truth. The issue is trust. You grab it more because you don't trust him to provide for tomorrow. If he says, I'm gonna be here tomorrow, trust him. Get enough for today. Maybe you need to change your approach for this new opportunity and trust him. Where do you need to trust more? Where do you need to look for new opportunities? And don't bring the same math to those new opportunities. You may need to find some new math in this season. But I'm telling you, hang in there. There's some opportunities in this season. Second invitation is an invitation to rest. It's rest. Here's the phrase, here's the statement. Napping is the new hustle. All right, write that down, send that to your boss. Napping is the new hustle. Right? Napping is the new hustle. He tells them, he says, not only do you just have to get enough, but I'm only gonna provide it for 6 days. And on the 7th day, I ain't gonna provide nothing. So on the 6th day, get twice as much, and you'll be good. Now, y'all know what happened, don't you? Somebody went out there on the 7th day. Now, he just told them on the 7th day, it ain't gonna be that. I want you to rest on the 7th day. But they go out there on the 7th day and watch what happens. You will end up going out in a season of abundance, but you will experience scarcity because you walked in disobedience. Can I say that again? I think that was good. I think somebody ought to tweet that over here, on this side. If you miss the rhythm, if you miss this new thing that he's doing, if you try to bring the old approach, you will show up in a season of abundance. Like he's dropping bread and meat every day. That's abundance. But you'll go out on the 7th day and see nothing. And you will experience scarcity in a season of abundance because you're showing up in the wrong time, in the wrong space, and in the wrong way. There's an opportunity here. And he's getting over a message to them. They had no idea what rest was. They were Hebrew slaves. Do you know when you want to make a big point about somebody working hard? You say you're working like a Hebrew slave. Why? Because that's the worst of the worst. And he says, on the 7th day, I need you to stop, and I don't want you to do anything, and I want you to rest in what I've already provided. Why? Because I need to remind you, because you're used to working sun up, sundown, 7 days a week, and every time you rest, every time you stop, I'm reminding you, you are not a slave anymore. Rest equals freedom. Some of you, man, this thing hit, and you just became a slave to the product. A slave to the end result. A slave to the church, slave to the business. You just working. You couldn't even take 2 days off being here. You've been working. You're doing email right now. I rebuke that email in the name of Jesus. Put that phone up. Because you think if you're not there, if you're not engaged, if you're not active, something's gonna go wrong because you're a slave to it. And God is saying you gotta find this rhythm, and I need you to take a break. I need you to rest. I need you to find a new hustle. Girl, take a nap. Bruh, go to sleep. That guy took my advice already. He's asleep already. Back there. Take a nap, go to sleep. That's the new hustle. That's the new advantage. You know how you're going to thrive in this next season? By taking care of yourself. Taking care of yourself. You need to be reminded you're not a slave. Here's the other thing. You're not God. It can go without you. It can live without you. It can survive without you. Healthy leaders have healthy rhythms of rest. And I can hear some of you, you're cynical. I can hear you in the comment section. Well, I don't know what kind of life you got, but I can't afford to take no day off. I'm gonna tell you, you can't afford not to take a day off. You can't afford not to do it. I remember a Chick-fil-A story. They were trying to get into malls, and you know malls are open 7 days a week, and this owner was like, yo, let me get in the mall. He was like, nah, because you're not open on Sundays, which, parenthetically, I don't have time, but can I just say one of the worst feelings in the world is to preach a great sermon get your mindset on those nuggets, waffle fries, lightly seasoned, and you pull up to the store and you see clothes. You almost lose all the religion you just received from church in just that moment because they closed on Sunday. They said, I'm telling you, he said, you're not gonna make enough money. Everybody else is open 7 days a week. You're not gonna make enough money in 6 days what they're making in 7. You cannot make in 6 what they make in 7. And you know what? They gave him a shot. They opened up the Chick-fil-A in the mall, and the owner was right. They did not make in 6 what the other companies made in 7. They made more. They made more. Because when you rest in the rhythms, God always provides. Somebody needs to hear that today. God always provides. Some of you, you're not even a follower of Jesus Christ. You're not even a believer. You just came and you was like, I heard it was a good conference, and it is. Ain't it good? But I need you to know as well, my brother, my sister, God always provides. There's an invitation to see what you've never seen before. There's an invitation to rest because napping is the new hustle. I can't wait to wear that t-shirt. I'm gonna hook that up. And then this other one is, it's an invitation to grieve and to hope, because grief and hope make great roommates. Grief and hope make great roommates. I gotta move along here, but it's okay to grieve. The children of Israel in this wilderness, in this moment, they were grumbling, but really the grumbling came from their grieving because they'd never been here before. It disrupted their life and their system. And I don't care who you are or where you are, your disruption is worth time for grief. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay not to love this season. It's okay not to see the joy in it. No, you get to lament, you get to grieve, you get to say, yo, I'm frustrated with where we are. I love it. The Bible says, in their grieving, God responded. And when he said God responded to their grieving, I was like, oh no, this is Old Testament God. He'll kill you. Oh, Mufasa. Ooh, say it again, Mufasa. Ooh. I was like, oh, he go. You know what God does? He responds to their grieving and their grumbling with grace. And he invites hope into the situation. He invites hope into the house. You can grieve, but don't let your grieving descend to despair. Invite hope to move in, and let grief and hope be good roommates and live together. Some of you are grieving right now, and it's almost going to despair. Can I just take 30 seconds and just encourage a leader who's about to give up, who's about to throw in the towel? I want you to move hope in your house. I want you to move hope in your spirit. I want you to move hope in your mind. I want you to move hope into your business plan, because contrary to what you may think, now is not the time for you to give up. Now is not the time for you to throw in the towel. If you still got breath in your body, you still got purpose in your chest, lift your head up and stand and keep fighting, and don't you quit. Don't you dare quit. Don't you dare give up. Hope and grief can live together. So when you get stuck in the puck, pain, the Lord gave me this acronym, pain, uncertainty, and chaos. When you find yourself in pain, uncertainty, and chaos, don't get stuck in the puck. In the midst of puck, look for the opportunities to see where God might be moving in a bigger way than I could have ever imagined. If you get stuck in the puck, find rest in your rhythm, because you ain't gonna go through all of this without no sleep. Get you some sleep, get you some rest, find a rhythm to hold yourself together. When you find yourself stuck in the puck, allow grief and hope to live together. Don't allow despair to take over. Allow hope to drive you in the midst of your grief, because you know trouble won't last always. In the midst of your puck, your pain, uncertainty, and grief, you got to find your rhythm. Got to find your rhythm. Did you see the rhythm in the text? Do you see the rhythm? Manna in the morning, meat at night. Manna in the morning, meat at night. I'm finding them. I'm trying to invite you to a new groove. I'm trying to give you a rhythm. I'm trying to give you a good groove. You get a good song? You just like a good music, I'm sorry, the shoulders just, you can't, hey, you know what I mean? Even if you can't dance, you'll find, you just gotta move. He says, I'm trying to bring you to a new groove. I'm trying to help you find your groove of leadership. So when you get stuck in the puck, find a groove of rest. Find a groove of seeing opportunity. Find the groove of seeing hope in the midst of hard times. In this season, this isn't a place where you just come in August for leadership. No, we want these principles to integrate into your everyday leadership. And you go into the office on Monday with a new groove, walking in integrity, walking in purpose, walking in calling. It needs to permeate every decision, every meeting. Thefind your groove in the midst of it all. We want it to integrate every area of your relationship. In order to understand finding your groove, there's this thing in the South. I think about this. It's called the second line. It's in New Orleans. You get like a trombone player, a tuba player, a bass player, a drummer. And then the second line are people that get in line behind them. And while they're playing, they just have umbrellas and they just be dancing. Here's the thing. They do it at funerals. And they do it at weddings. It started when slaves would come in and need health care. These parties, these mobile parties, they just walk around partying, celebrating. What are they doing? They're saying, in the midst of your puck, in the midst of your pain and uncertainty, we want to give you a groove to move to. We want to give you a groove. We want you to know that melody and joy can live in hard and rough places. So you have this exuberant band at a funeral, and people are getting in line, dancing and celebrating. That's what your leadership should look like. We need second line, find your groove leaders that are refusing to settle for the status quo, and even in a hard season like this, even when you're stuck in puck, you can still find your groove and move. It's one of those things, man, I wish, because I could tell y'all not getting it, I wish I could show you what a second line was. I wish we had one here at the Global Leadership Summit, but we couldn't. Wait a minute, what? Are you serious? We can afford that? Yo, I think we got one here. Yo, Harlan!
A 1, a 2, a 1, 2.
Oh, this is gonna be crazy. Here we go. Hey, you gotta find your groove. If you're stuck in the pop, find your groove, find your way. We need leaders to find your groove. Lead like never before, because everyone wins when the lead gets better. Come on. to go home on fire. We want you to go home leading like never before. We want you going home knowing that everybody gets better when and this is the final thing, puck up and find your groove. 1, 2, 3, let's go!